I just got through watching episode season season 2, episode 4 of Dark Side of the Ring entitled Brawl For All. It happened in 1998 and it was a different type of tournament. It was something that was outside of the realm of wrestling. WWE had never done anything like this before. And the premise behind it, well, maybe not say premise, but the reasoning behind it is because of a little vendetta that Vince Russo had for JBL, who back then was known as Bradshaw. He was going around bragging, shooting his mouth off that he was the toughest guy in the locker room. And Vince Russo wanted to teach him a lesson. And what better way than to have a tournament that was a pretty much a real tournament, meaning they were going to fight for real. It wasn't fake. Well, I'm not going to say fake. It wasn't predetermined. It wasn't scripted. These guys were going to go in there, throwing hands, and looking to knock someone out. A lot of guys got injured. A lot of guys, for real, had their careers shortened. And some were never the same afterwards. You take the winner, the eventual winner, Bart Gunn. Now, Bart Gunn was a member of a popular tag team, favorite tag team of mine back in the mid to late 90s, and that was the Smoking Guns. And he and Billy Gunn were kayfabe brothers, and they were really a great tag team. I believe they were like 3-time WWF champions, tag team champions, I said. So they really had a lot going for them. And what happened was that they were split up, and Bart Gunn pretty much went on the wayside, and they had nothing for him. And this tournament kind of presented itself as an opportunity for him to rise above everybody there and at least come out on top, win the tournament. I mean, these guys, each and every one of them got $10,000 just to enter, and the winner would be given a $75,000 prize and some big gold gloves. They looked really obnoxious. Now they're so big. He even had them. He still had them. They show him later on. During the, they were being interviewed. Godfather being interviewed. D'Lo Brown, Draws, some others, and even Butterbean, because in WrestleMania he would face Bart Gunn, and we know what happened there. Pretty much, it was the closer to Bart Gunn's career when he got knocked out at WrestleMania. And Bart Gunn was a guy who was very talented, but I say this thing, messed him up, messed his career up. It really exposed him to a lot of people. To me, it just basically exposed all of them really to us that they weren't real fighters, or if they were tough guys that could fight, this thing was so unorganized, and it would change, day to day. I mean, the rules and everything. First is stand up boxing, and then they added takedowns, and then they had referees that didn't know how to referee a tournament like this, and there were judges that didn't even know what the hell they were judging. From the moment it started, it was doomed. Now, all this because of Vince Russo's petty vendetta against Bradshaw. How come they couldn't just, as they say in the business, give him a receipt? If he was being all braggadocious and he was rubbing people wrong way, have one of the toughest guys, wrestlers, go one-on-one with him in the ring and hit him for real. And then teach him a lesson. That's what they used to do back in the day. I don't know if they do that now. They probably don't. But that's what they used to do. That's how they used to take care of business back then. But this thing really showed what went down. What happened to a lot of these guys, injuries, Hawk was in this as well, and I believe I heard, outside of watching this this episode, is that a lot of guys got concussions. Guys were getting knocked out for real. That their brains were being scrambled. You see in the finals when Bart Gunn knocked out Bradshaw was loopy. His eyes were spinning, his back in the head. And when he got knocked down, and he got a real good, uppercut underneath the chin. He fell and he started his jello legs were shaking, body was shaking, you know. So these guys were legit getting hurt, you know. And like I said, they could have handled it a better way. Instead of having a tournament that really, really, like I said, it really, really endangered these guys' health, careers. Some of them, their careers were shortened. Some of them were probably never the same again. They even showed, when they showed draws and, bless him and everything. He's, 20 some years later and he's in a wheelchair. So we all know what happened with him and D'Lo Brown. If those of you who don't, D'Lo Brown and Draws were in the match. And D'Lo Brown has this running power bomb. It's a really great move that he does. But for some reason, on either side, when they asked him, they didn't know what went wrong. But what happened is that he dropped Draws on his head accidentally. And I believe Jaws said something like he wasn't able to put his hands down to kind of break the fall and to not take and kind of absorb all of the, that's what they do when they fall. They do that in order to absorb the impact on their upper body and stuff and not in any place that's dangerous. And to this day, they have no ill will toward each other. And even after he was injured, he told D'Lo, D'Lo was apologetic and he said, no, it's okay. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Because these guys obviously know it was an accident, and accidents happen in wrestling. And I remember, seeing that match, and I didn't even know that he was seriously injured. I thought they just had to stop the match, or they just had to, can't continue. And I thought he was going to be okay, and then find out, shortly afterwards he was paralyzed. And I remember when he came back, he was in a wheelchair and everything. He came back for a return to let everybody see him and everything like that. And it was sad to see that because dude was really young still, and he still had a lot to give. He was pretty talented in the ring. He was pretty funny. He was very, very good in the ring. I think he was part of the Road Warriors. I think he was a part of the Road Warriors for a bit. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember. I think that because I do remember him coming out in face paint and all that stuff. I think it was a temporary thing, but I think he was because he was known as Puke. I think first he was known as Puke. I think he was part of LOD of the Road Warriors. But you see him now, and he's in good spirits, and God bless him and everything. And it's good to see. It's sad what happened to his career and what happened to his health and how he got paralyzed. But unfortunately, that happens in wrestling. It's something that sometimes you can't avoid. Sometimes accidents happen. But getting back to the Brawl For All, after he won the Brawl For All, Bart Gunn, beating Bradshaw in the finals, his career really wasn't the same. They had nothing for him. They let him sit on the sidelines or sit at home for months. They bring him back for WrestleMania, and they say, hey, you're going to take on Butterbean. Now, Butterbean's 300 pounds, like your typical boxer in the sense of his, having the typical build. 300 pounds, some people call him fat. People call him overweight. Some people call him, he's too big to be a boxer, might not be a wrestler. But the guy had punching power. He was known for knocking guys out. So there was that, they wanted to capitalize on his popularity, and Vince McMahon wanted Bart Gunn to be knocked on his ass. He didn't care for him. I guess he just didn't like him as a possible main eventer or somebody that he can push, and he even told Butterbean said that Vince McMahon told me to knock him out. And then they had their match at WrestleMania. I remember seeing this match. And they were going at it a little bit of punching here, punching there. I think Butterbean was playing with him a little bit and then knocks him down. And Butterbean's saying, he said to himself, don't get up, because I'm going to knock your ass out. And he gets up, he said, oh, okay. And then boom, boom, knocks him down. And y'all see that very, very, familiar like, you know, video scene that we would always see of how Bart Gunn looked when he got knocked out. His head turned. I mean, Butterbean said that his head turned and he was looking behind him. That's how. That's how. His head just snapped. And when he went down, his head hit the ropes. And then one of his kids said that his friend told him, "Your dad just killed Bart Gunn." And Butterbean goes, "Yeah, well, no, I didn't kill him, but it looked like I killed him. I killed him." And Butterbean was an anomaly, man. He was one of those guys that he just was a once in a lifetime type of athlete. Came around, and people were probably laughing at him at first, thinking, "Who's this dude, man? Like, really? A boxer?" And then the guy proved himself. He had over 50 fights, 50 wins. Not 50 fights, but I believe they said that 50 wins under his belt. That's not nothing to smile. That's not nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty impressive. But the one thing about this that I loved, and I always loved it, is when Jim Cornette always has something to say about Vince Russo. Both of them were being interviewed for this episode. And of course, Jim Cornette was like, "That idiot." He had no, reason to book this type of a match, tournament. He doesn't know nothing about wrestling, because when Vince Russo came in, he was just a fan. Vince McMahon liked what he saw. He put Vince Russo on as one of the writers for Raw magazine back in the day. And I guess he liked his input. But then he was just, he had a picture of Vince Russo. He ripped it up in the episode there, and he was just calling him all kinds of names, and just so bitter. Vince Russo acting like nothing was. He didn't see anything wrong with what he did, and like even to this day, that's what pissed Jim Cornette off even more, because he goes like, even to this day, that knucklehead doesn't know what he did was wrong. He doesn't know. He didn't see anything wrong with it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just like, dude, you cause a lot of this, pain, and a lot of guys being injured, and you don't think anything of it. I mean, he even watched the thing, and he was like, he said he watched it back and goes, yeah, I could see myself being entertained by this if I was in the. That's just to say that if he was a spectator, if he was watching it, he would have enjoyed it. Nobody enjoyed it. It was like one of the biggest resounding failures, and people just booed it. They weren't into it. I remember seeing, clips of it back in the day, and you see nobody was into it. Nobody was. Brawl For All was a failure, right up there with XFL ×2 now. And then you have, what's that? World Bodybuilding Federation, WBF, right? And then you had this, I mean, you tell me. If any of you out there enjoyed it, there's nothing I can say about that. If you did, you did. But it really was a cluster F, It really was bad, Like Jim Ross, he goes, that talking about Russo and Cornette, that those two will never, and he goes in his lifetime will never ever see eye to eye. And sometimes I'm like, I can understand where Vince Russo's coming from. He was trying to do something different, And Jim Cornette is old school. And he's a guy who was in wrestling for 40 some years. So he knows about wrestling. You see this outsider come in, Vince Russo, and then he comes up with an idiotic idea like that. Now, he did come up with a lot of ideas for the Attitude Era. And it's pretty much because him and the creative guys with the writers, they were watching Jerry Springer in the background. That's why you see a lot of the craziness and all of the stuff that went down during the Attitude Era. Scantily clad women, guys taking girlfriends and wives away from wrestlers. The violence, the innuendo when it comes to sex, all that stuff. So he did kind of bring something to the thing, but this is the one time that when he brought this up, it should have been kiboshed. I don't know what they were thinking, but they went with it, and I don't know what's going on. Why they did that? But then you say that about WWE now, like what's going on in their heads? Why are they doing this? Why are they allowing this type of a thing to happen? This storyline, that pushing this person and not pushing this person. But Brawl for All was what it was, and it was a mess. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. It wasn't decent. It wasn't okay. It was pretty bad, and it was an awful idea. Because, like I said, you could look at it as entertainment on one aspect. Some people are gonna say it was fun. You're watching it, yeah, but it wasn't fun for the competitors. It wasn't fun for them. You know, guys being legitimately injured. I mean, you don't want to hurt nobody. These guys in wrestling don't want to hurt nobody. They want to make sure that they're the guys that they perform with, or the gals who perform with they perform. They don't want nobody getting hurt. And in this swing right here, they were getting hurt for real. If I was, at that time, and I was to say I was a wrestler back in the day, and then they just came up to me and said, "Hey, want to do this?" I'd be like, "No." Especially in my mindset, when I do something, I don't want anything to change it in the sense that I'm not gonna go out of the realm of what I'm doing, just to change it up. It's like, why would you do that when, like I said, real fighting has nothing to do with wrestling. There's a reason why they don't hit for real. You know, and if they do, it's not at full force because they're not trying to hurt each other. It's all about presenting a great, match. It's about doing everything you can to make it come off, like you're actually hurting each other. And sometimes people do get hurt, but oftentimes they are really trying to just make sure that they put on a good match and that everybody is okay in the end afterwards. Accidents happen. What happened with draws, and sometimes people even die in the ring, and that's also very, very tragic and it's awful. But anyway, I'm gonna end the video right here. My thoughts on Brawl for All, the second season, and this is episode 4 for Dark Side of the Ring. I'm enjoying this series very much. I believe this one goes all the way up to 10 for season 2, and the next one, no, actually is one of the ones that I don't know the story, but I'll be doing that one next week. I do this every week until all the episodes are done, and move on to another series. But for the meantime, I'm doing Dark Side of the Ring, and this I'm doing the second season, and this is episode 4. And I enjoyed it. It really opened my eyes to what went on behind the scenes when it comes to Brawl for All. And no, that's that. And for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care. Please remember to subscribe, click like, and click the bell icon for all notifications on this channel.